The Lagos State University of Education has emphasized the need for technological deployment in teaching as a critical response to the challenges of the 21st century education. This position was highlighted during a three-day international conference organized by the university's College of Languages and Communication Arts Education at its Egbokhare campus. The conference themed Language, Literature, Communication and Education in a Changing World, Innovations, Challenges and the Future brought together scholars and stakeholders from across the academia to share ideas and compare perspectives. Delivering the keynote address, Professor of Linguistics at the University of Ibadan, Francis Egbokhare, noted that the era when knowledge dissemination was restricted to the classroom had passed. And according to him, the online and virtual learning now place millions of learners on par with their counterparts in conventional institutions. He urged the African universities to embrace technology as an indispensable tool for effective pedagogy, and Egbokhare further observed that with open source technology, a poorly funded institution such as those in Nigeria could significantly reduce the financial burden of acquiring modern teaching tools. And in another keynote, a presentation, Professor of Phonetics at the University of Reading, Jane Setter, who spoke virtually on English pronunciation for a global world, underscored the importance of pronunciation in enhancing speaking, listening, vocabulary acquisition, and reading skills. She argued that retaining a native speaker accent should not be used as a measure of intelligence or academic capacity. The Vice-Chancellor of LASUED, Professor Bidemi Bilkis Lafioje-Okunle, represented by the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Professor Morudeen Shittu, assured participants that the university would proactively implement recommendations and resolutions arising from the conference.
They are not meant for education alone. If you look at the teacher and mission of university, we are training students to be an expert in any profession and also in education. Our core call is we are focused on education, but despite that, and that is why you know that we have the program like for the part of English now, we have English education and English ordinary English, so that for people that want to focus on profession, you can come here to learn your English. But for the core value of this university that want to focus on education, we do the same thing. So what we are saying at the end of the day, we are training the students who are going to be professional in any field they belong to. Apart from being a professional, they also become a good educationist on any field they have chosen as their career.
We should be focused more on collaboration. There are departments, but don't build walls between these departments. For instance, you have a lot of language departments. If you have the curricula should be such that the courses that are similar, you remove redundancy. You modularize your content, you modularize your curriculum, so that somebody who is in Yoruba and needs to learn phonetics can do the same thing with somebody who is in French that needs to learn phonetics. There are common areas of convergences. And then, of course, for the lecturers, they can do joint projects. If there are language problems in a particular language, you can do a comparative study to see exactly how the problem presents across the different language areas. So it's important. Collaboration is a new game. Multidisciplinarity is a new norm. And when we do that, because knowledge is very fluid, we are in an era of fluidity of knowledge, and because reality itself is fluid, and so we must move with it, so that, and then of course evolve with it.
The four elements in the theme. COLCAED is a College of Languages and Communication Arts Education, and you can see that these four elements feature prominently in our programs in COLCAED. We have languages. We have about 5 languages that are being taught in the college: English, Yoruba, Igbo, French, and Arabic. And then we still have departments of communication and language arts education. And if you consider the literature aspect of it, we teach literature across all the units and departments in the college. And looking at technology, whatever you do nowadays, in terms of teaching, has to be based on technology. So our teaching methods and then teaching resources, everything has to do with technology. So before together, have been employed, in teaching and learning activities in our college.
Teachers need to be trained to know how to use these new technologies. And our students should be better motivated to use these new technologies beyond social media. That those new technologies can be used to ensure effective teaching and learning. And they shouldn't get distracted with the use of these new technologies so that they can better use the positive aspect of these new technologies to ensure that we have advancement in knowledge.
The different pedagogical interventions that have been coming in from conferences, from scholars on how language and literature can be better taught, especially in the 21st century, using the technological affordance. Of course, we know that in the 21st century, the classroom is no longer made up of bricks. The classroom is now made up of clicks. So on this ground, there have to be new methodological approaches to the teaching and learning of language and literature.